If you're considering buying a home in San Antonio, Texas, you will find this information quite helpful, whether you're looking to move in and around San Antonio or move from somewhere else to here because you're relocating, especially those who are in our armed services. You'll find there's quite a few bases here, and this is a very military-friendly city. I'm Julian Jackson with J Prime Realty Group of LPT Realty, and I want to introduce myself and my team because when you work with us, we're going to do the heavy lifting for you. And we're going to give you a great idea of what that looks like as we go through and share this information. All right, so whether you're moving in or around San Antonio, the J Prime Realty Group is here to help you. We will definitely get on the phone with you, go through a Zoom call, whatever we need to do before you come. We're going to narrow down your requirements, everything from the bedroom, bathroom, your max monthly payment. And you have to understand, my background is in loans as well as the mortgage and real estate industry, and I've been doing this since 2006. I share a lot of this information with my team members because they're going to be my partners. My showing partners have more expertise in certain areas throughout San Antonio, and we're going to make sure you're in good hands no matter which team member you work with, no matter which partner you work with. So my showing partners are going to be out there taking care of the groundwork. And if you're familiar with the military and you've been around the military, of course, they're out in the field doing the work. And I've been out there, I've done a lot of the work, but I obviously can't do as much as someone who's more familiar with that terrain. So my job is to make sure that we get the requirements met so that you actually can move into your house and have the smoothest process possible. So we're going to help you locate, negotiate, and facilitate this entire process so that all the things that could typically happen, we knock them out and you don't have to worry too much about anything other than working with us. Our goal is basically to help you save money upfront and over time because there's a lot of requirements that have to be met when you're in the military. And if you're not working with the right lender and the right realtor, you're going to find out, some people found out the hard way that they weren't getting necessarily the best information or the best programs to work with. If you're a veteran, 9 times out of 10, your VA loan is the best option for you. It's zero down. And a lot of the ways that we help you out, you're also going to get your closing costs covered and special incentives. A lot of times they will tell you need at least a 580 credit score. We have options that may be less than 580, but that can probably be the only thing that's an issue is your credit. If there's other things that are going on outside of that that are required to qualify for the loan, we'll have to work on those and help you get there. So we always say it doesn't matter when, we're going to get you there. We're going to help you. If you're serious about getting into a home, we don't tell you no, we tell you how. That's our motto. That's what we do. So we're going to definitely figure out the bedrooms, bathrooms. We're going to find out what the max monthly payment is. And so if you're thinking, I'm not sure, well, whatever you're comfortable with. We don't necessarily want to go through a lender and say, well, they said you could afford this. If that's not the number you want to be able to afford, you tell us, no, my BAH is X amount and I'd like to stay within that, then that's what we're going to go with. Then we're going to look at the most preferred side of town, whether that be based on where you're working, how close it is to a base, or how close it is to where you could possibly be working, because the medical field is pretty big as well, or school districts. Now, if you're not military, of course, there's other loan types out there, FHA, conventional, USDA. USDA is a product that most people aren't familiar with either, but it's another zero-down program. And if you're a little bit more flexible on location, we can get you out in those areas as well. You don't have to worry about coming up with money down as long as you meet certain credit requirements. And USDA is typically around the 640. But we have packages everywhere in between. And it's just a matter of, the better your credit is, you probably get better rates. And even if it's not really good, we can show you how to make it better before the home is finished. We like to specialize in new builds. That way it gives us time to work on certain things to help you get the best package and best programs available before you actually have to close on that home. In addition to that, we're going to discuss the San Antonio map. We're going to explain like where 410, 1604, these are the loops inside the city. And then I-10, I-35, 37, the major interstate highways. If you didn't know, typically the interstate highways that are even numbers run east-west, and the ones that are odd numbers usually run north-south. If you didn't know that, now you know. Which side of town is the fastest growing? We'll get into that as well, because in some cases, unless it's closer to work, because it's busy, sometimes the infrastructure is being built and there's a lot of roads that are slow, even though it might normally take 20 minutes to get across town. It could take 45 based on the fast-paced construction. But these are all things we want to take into consideration before we find that perfect house for you. Where are the bases? What about the medical center? Not only do we have a heavy military population, but there's also a medical center where a lot of doctors that come from different areas and do their internships, residencies, and stuff here, they end up staying here because they like the city. It's probably close to 2 million people here right now, which makes it a moderately larger size city. So if you are in the medical profession, of course, your practice is going to do way better here than it would be in maybe some small town in Texas where people came from and did practice and residency here. They often come here and don't leave. Then we're going to go over property comparison chart and schedule a tour with you. Again, my showing partners are going to be out there helping you look over these different communities once we narrow it down to what fits you the best. We don't want you to move into a home unless it's your perfect 10. A lot of people think about renting, but we have found that there's ways to get into homes for cheaper than it would cost you to find a rental home. If it's $2,000 a month, you got to come up with the first month's rent, the security deposit, maybe somewhere between $500 and $600 worth of application fees and pet fees, deposit fees, and all that stuff. So you're looking at $4,500 to $5,000. We work with a lot of the new builds here, and again, if we can get you zero down and they cover all your closing costs, sometimes all you have to come up with is earnest money, which may be between $5,000 and $5,000. So if you're going to spend $5,000 anyway, why not own a home? And then once you own it, there's a whole lot of other benefits to having a home. Sometimes it's going to be as low as $500. What could you do with the other $4,500? Pay off debts, buy nicer furniture. There's a lot of things you're going to do if someone is giving you the right advice. Our goal basically is to help you save money up front and over time. And that's because as a loan officer as well as a realtor, I can share different information with you, and my team is going to come to me and get that advice before we put you under contract. And you're going to find that very unique to the J Prime Realty Group. And then from there, I'll walk you through the buyer's guide so you kind of know exactly what goes on, how we're compensated, why, and a lot of the things that may not necessarily be shared with most realtors, we're going to share them with you here. All right, so starting with the map. As you can see here, this is San Antonio. And as you can see, this is 1604 is the larger loop, and then the inner loop is 410. This is 35 that goes through the city. It actually comes off. It goes into the northeast. So it comes in kind of diagonally, as you can see, and then heads south. Then there's 37. So this kind of runs diagonally through the city and southwest. Then you have 35, which also connects with 280, or 37, which connects with 281, and then heads down south. Now, the more popular areas with new builds right now are happening in the Stone Oak area, which is northeast. If you're looking for school districts and all that, we have information on our website where you can go in and find out what the school districts are, what the city is like, the certain areas that you may or may not prefer. Those things you can do your due diligence and figure that out. But in the meantime, if you're coming in from out of town, we can be your eyes and ears until you get here. So with all that being said, I also want to point out the military bases. The hottest areas typically right now for new builds are here. The hottest areas over here, they call this the far west side. But anything typically outside of 1604 is considered the far west side. This might be the west side, and this is the northwest. The highways divide the city. 90 turns into I-10, and it basically divides the city from the north and the south. And then 281 goes south for probably till the middle of the city, and then 30 it turns into 37, and that kind of divides the city to the east and west. Typically 10 would go east to west, but as you can see here, it gets to the middle of San Antonio and then it shoots up and almost goes due north by northwest. Eventually it starts to head west and goes all the way out to California, but that's something you'll find unique to San Antonio because I guess they had to get the major highways in here and out of here. And once they made that decision, San Antonio has obviously much more traffic and everything else, international airport and all. Now, if you're thinking about the military bases, Randolph Air Force Base is here on the northeast. There's homes in Schertz, Cibolo, Universal City, Marion, a lot of the stuff is being built up. But if you're going to be at this base, these are some really good areas to be in if you want to be out and away from the city. The city downtown, all that area here, the Riverwalk, you'll see it here. Lackland Air Force Base is over here. Kelly Airfield, right next to it. That's where a lot of the planes come in for military missions and stuff like that. And if you're curious about Fort Sam Houston, it's off of 35 over here. You'll see right here, this is Fort Sam Houston. So if you're at Joint Base San Antonio, typically it could be any one of these three bases. As you can see, Lackland, Fort Sam, and Randolph. So that's kind of how the map is made out in the city. Again, this is to kind of help you understand what the city looks like when you decide to move, or if you have to move here or you're moving around here. That kind of gives you an idea what's going on. But again, there's two loops here, 1604, 410, and that's what kind of is considered the central or greater San Antonio. All right, with that, let's step back into our chart and we'll go over comparison of properties, right? Oh, I think I did miss the medical center, so I'll point that out as well. So if you are in the medical field, what you'll notice is I-10 in this area will be the medical center. So as you see, medical center here, it's going to be a lot of hospitals, including the VA hospitals over here. So as you get outside of 410 and you run through this area, this is a medical center. The branch at medical center, all this area here is medical center, a lot of hospitals, a lot of medical facilities, things of that nature, but that's the medical center. Now, we are basically going to go look at all the homes out there that are available to you, and you're going to know something very specific about this particular chart. They had two homes they really liked. They scored both of these a 10. They scored this one a 10. They scored this one a 10. But look at the difference in price. Look at the difference in earnest money. So you would assume that if it had more earnest money, or in the house, the price of the house was larger, or any of those things, potentially your monthly payment would be more. But we determined the monthly payment for our clients. And what they noticed, even though it was a 4-bedroom, 3.5 bath, which was nicer than the other home they really liked, it was $10,000 more expensive. It was a little over 100 square feet larger, but they offered more incentives. They were going to move in a couple months later, but they weren't getting here till March anyway. The earnest money requirement was $2,000 instead of $5,000. Only 1 minute difference in getting to Fort Sam, and look at the difference in the monthly payment. Because it was in a lower tax district and they were offering a little bit better incentives for the interest rate, they were able to get approved for a VA loan, and the monthly payment was lower for a house that was a little bit more expensive, larger, with an extra half bath, and lower earnest money. So as we say, we're going to try to get you into a home with lower cost upfront and over time. That's our goal. But we go through and we look at all the different possibilities out there for you, and then we narrow them down to meet your best requirements. Now, again, there'll be a link for you to be able to schedule a tour with us. And the final piece I'll go over is the buyer's guide. All right, as you can see here, we're your new build and listing specialist, but we want to make sure, as we said, we don't tell you no, we tell you how. Everyone deserves to achieve the dream of home ownership, and we're here to make sure that happens. So if you're a first-time home buyer and you're wondering how a realtor can help, again, these are some of the things we're going to do. We're legally obligated to help you learn all of your purchasing options, negotiate the best deal on your behalf, And with a team of resources, we're available to help you become a homeowner no matter what your situation. One of the things we like to do is offer you a rebate up front of, somewhere around $500, depending on the situation. But our true goal is to negotiate in a way in which we get your closing costs down, your down payment as low as possible, if not zero. Because the better we negotiate for you, obviously, we won't be able to rebate, because if we rebate after getting all your costs down, that money only goes back to the builder or the lender or whoever's the seller of that house, because we've negotiated everything for you. So we don't want to do a great job and then not be able to help you with rebate. So at the end, if we do a really good job for you, we might give you a gift at the end. And basically, we're going to ask you if it's Home Depot or Lowe's or Best Buy or wherever. It has to be some type of a gift card, but it can't be cash or cash equivalent. So just to keep that in mind. But our goal is really to save you money up front and over time, the lower monthly payment, lower amount of down payment, the lower amount of closing cost. Some people might end up having to spend $15,000 to $50,000 to get into a home. And our job is to make sure you save way more than that. If it only costs you $5,000 or less to get into a house, then we've done a great job for you. Now, some of the things we're going to do is talk about what realtors can do to help, things we can do to keep things from going wrong. We want to make sure your journey is our mission, and then we'll go through the different processes that are required to get you into a house. Again, like we said, a minimum $500, depending on, again, the circumstance. Now, our fees are typically paid through the proceeds of closing, so it helps you avoid out-of-pocket expense. But we do have to let you know that our fees are coming from you, even though they may be in part of the loan and the negotiation. We also know that our fees can range anywhere from 3 to 6%, sometimes more by builders. So we let you know up front, even though we might say 3% in the beginning, if the builders are offering 6, 7, 8%, we might have to come back and ask you to change that, because the more you give us, the more we can rebate back to you. If they're offering more than 3%, we're probably going to definitely get you at least $500 minimum. And if we need to help you with other things, we can do that. Little things like a lease buyout. If for some reason you're renting a property and you're like, I can't move for another 6 months because I'm stuck in my lease. We'll go find out the amount for the termination for the lease. And if we're getting bonuses through builders, we can definitely say, all right, let's take a portion of that and help you guys get out of that home. So you have to pay the termination yourself, but we will lower your closing costs by that amount. So you're not coming up with any different amount of money. It'll still be the same. Now, basically, the agent's going to handle all the personal information that you have, avoiding the need for you to share it with multiple realtors and lenders. You work with one of us, and you're good for any home in San Antonio. And if you have a home to sell, we have a 100-point selling marketing plan to help you out. No one is anywhere close to that. As I mentioned earlier, we're here to help. When you sign with us, we're going to walk you through the home buying process. We're there from start to finish. We assist you with qualifying for financing. Again, those are the things that are going to matter most. And make sure you have a comfortable mortgage payment, not the one that maxes out your debt to income ratio because a lender says that you can't. If you're military and it needs to match your BAH, then that's what we're going to do. We'll find you homes in that range, not the ones that max out your debt to income ratio. Because you can afford a $500,000 home doesn't mean you want to necessarily make a $5,000 a month payment. So we figure that out for you. And the bottom line is, again, we help you locate, negotiate, and facilitate this entire process. You will have access to these slides and this presentation after watching this video, and review it. Make sure that if you have any questions, to reach out to us. And again, we'll have another discussion. When you sign with us, this is some of the paperwork you got to sign. It's information about brokerage services, which essentially says we will put your interest above our own, and some of the duties and responsibilities that we have are in there. This is not something you have to sign. It's just something you need to initial, saying that we shared it with you because by law we're required to, because some agents aren't very good at explaining their services to people. So if they're not, here's a way for you to double check and read what we're supposed to be doing for you. Our team is not only in this video sharing it with you, but also going to be able to do that in person. You also have to sign a buyer tenant rep agreement. So we can't show homes until you do that. But that's why we have this conversation now. So you're not wondering what's going on. You're not obligated. My team members are not going to lock you in. There's no money. There's no obligation. For any reason you decide that you want to go a different direction, just let us know and we'll tear it up and move on. Now, there are things that go wrong, a lot of them. And this says like 89 different things that can go wrong when you don't work with a realtor. Again, when you have this, read through it. But we don't let those things go wrong because we've seen them over and over. Everything from foundation issues to not being able to get qualified. We've had people get qualified through their lender fell through, and they were able to use one of our backup lenders and still be able to get that home. These are the things we can do for you and make sure that you don't get stuck in a situation you can't get out of. And that's mainly our goal. Now, your journey is our mission. Again, we only want you to have a perfect 10 home within your budget, your time frame, your location. So we're going to find out what has you thinking about moving. If you have to move, you have to move, right? But we're going to make sure that we get you when we're going to find out when the absolute latest you'd like to be moved into your home. And what's the maximum monthly payment you're willing to make, right? Those are the things we talked about. Taxes and insurance are included. And what's your most preferred side of town? And we talked about this, but the key to this is we're looking for your perfect 10 home. We're going to ask you, can you see yourself and your family living here? If you can see yourself and your family living there, then the next question is on a scale of 1 to 10, what do you rate it? Now, let's say this is your first home and you're like, well, because we haven't seen anything else, this is our 9.5. Great. I would say 9.5 if you mean 10, but you haven't seen anything else. Now, if we go look at 5 other homes that meet your requirement and you're like, these other ones aren't as nice as the one we saw first, that's probably going to become your 10. Now, sometimes you're going to see homes and go, well, we wanted bedroom, bathroom, and all the master bedroom, primary bedroom is downstairs, and we wanted a 2-car garage, but this one has 3, and it meets our criteria. You might say, this is our 11. Well, we like to hear our clients say our 11 because we know that that means this is the home for you. And if it is a home for you, that's the one we make an offer on. And that's really the whole goal of this. Now, we talked about buying instead of renting. This is why. A lot of people don't think about it, but it really does boil down to why would you rent when, if you see these fees? I would say the average family is about $2,000 now in San Antonio. So this is probably $1,000 more. So like I said, about $4,500. Whereas you can get into a new build property for as low as $4,500, and that's total move-in, total out-of-pocket move-in cost, not just the deposit, not just the earnest money. We're a team. So as you see, all these folks we're going to be scheduling for you. We consider these resources to help you make the right decisions. And before you make the decision, we want to make sure that we're talking to the right folks that can ensure that everything gets taken care of. Like the title company handles the insurance, the appraiser, we have to make sure there's waivers and stuff in place just in case it doesn't appraise as a buyer, and make sure that you have a way to walk away if you're not willing to pay the difference. Again, we're in the middle as a team, and you're basically getting advice, and we like to state options for you to choose from. So the final decision is always going to be yours, but we're your expert advisors to give you guidance. Now, again, we don't want you to have, if you have any concerns with credit or student loans or anything of that nature that can interfere with you getting a pre-approved loan, we absolutely have solutions for you. So in addition to just helping you out with certain things that you typically hear from most of your realtors, we can help with credit, we can help with student loan debt, we can help with divorce decrees, and any of the things that typically may come up that may be an issue. We have ways to get those resolved. Now, there's also financing options that a lot of people don't know about. Again, with a lender background, I will talk to every lender that my showing agents, showing partners show when they show homes. Before we go forward, we're going to find out, exactly what you qualify for, and if your lender, if you're with a credit union or something like that, if they're going to be able to do a better job than potentially another lender that might be part of the builder's incentive programs. Because a lot of these builders, they only offer their incentives if you use their lender. So in order for that to happen, we need to make sure you're clear that you're not getting taken advantage of. And we'll show you like what you're getting offered from your bank and what you might be losing if you don't use their lender. So those are things we want to talk about. Then there's other programs. Sometimes people aren't in a position to buy right away, so there's rent to own. We talked about student loan forgiveness. We talked about how we can help you with rebates. There's off-market properties, reduced priced homes, all these things we can do to show you how to get into the home and within your budget and still be your perfect 10 home. There's loan programs out there. So no matter what's going on, we want to make sure you have an idea what's going on with loans. Conventional, these are typical. Doesn't mean they're guaranteed to be these numbers, but 620 is typical. The income ratio is 50%. They actually have a zero down program for conventional now, but I've seen from 1 to 20%. People have heard the myth that 20%, yeah, that might be true for conventional loans. But as you notice with VA and USDA, there's 0%. FHA is 3.5%. FHA is typically the easiest to qualify for because you have to have fully documented loan. They typically want to see 2 years of job history, 2 years of residency, and of course, your credit, income, and assets have to be in line. And they're going to check your debt to income ratio. But as you see here, all that's in the chart. And if you have more questions about that, that's when my team members can point you in the right direction. And if they have any questions, of course, they're going to come to me and we're going to explain this to you completely. Then, of course, closing costs. And we talked about this a little bit, but as you can see, I like everything to be in a graphic form so you can actually see it. But new builds versus pre-owned, right? This is a potential $200,000 home. Right now, the average price in San Antonio is around $300,000. But you can see new builds, the earnest money is around $500. It can be that low. Whereas pre-owned, it's usually 1%. So it would be $2,000 versus $500. Option money, 0 for new builds, $100 for pre-owned. Inspections, usually optional. But if you decide to do it, you can either do it before you move into the home or maybe before the 1-year warranty is up so that you can find out if there's anything else that needs to be taken care of. They will take all that in consideration when you put together your punch list. And at the 9 or 10 month mark, turn in that punch list and they will come in and fix everything under warranty. With pre-owned, you might have to get a separate warranty. The appraisal could be around $600. Your lender's going to order it for pre-owned. The appraisal is taken care of by the builder if you go new build. Down payment, again, depends on the loan with, of course, your pre-owned as well. But if you were using FHA loan with no down payment assistance, you're looking at about $7,000. There's incentives from the builder for closing costs. A lot of times, especially in this market, they're covering that. If it's a buyer's market, that tends to happen. In a seller's market, sometimes they don't offer. They'll offer a little less. Right now, you might even find a washer, dryer, or refrigerator package, or additional saw that they might not normally cover. But 1 to 5% of the sales price is typically what you're going to see for closing costs. Title policy, sometimes it's going to be covered in the loan, or you can get the seller to cover it when it's pre-owned. In the title policy, the builder is going to cover it. The origination fee, typically if you use their lender, it's going to be covered by their lender. It's 1% of the loan amount if you go pre-owned. The warranty, covered by the builder, because they're going to have typically the 1 year door-to-door, 2 year is between the walls, and then the structural and foundation for 10 years. If you get a warranty, it could be anywhere from $420, $745, depending on the size of the home and that type of stuff. But again, as you can see here, the total cost as little as $500 versus $15,000 or more. Like I said, it could be $15,000 to $50,000, depending on how well your deal is negotiated with pre-owned. And yes, there are ways to negotiate with builders as well, but we have such good relationships with builders. My showing agents, my showing partners out there are going to show you everything. And they have great relationships with the builders out here. And as new home specialists, of course, you would expect that from us. Now, if you're not familiar with the loan estimate, I just want to give you an idea what it looks like, because we're going to interpret that for you so you know what you're getting into. A lot of times this isn't explained very well, so you wonder why it might show an estimated payment of a certain amount per month, and then a year later it's more. Well, if you're buying a new build home, they're going to give you the principal, interest, taxes, and insurance based on the land. Then once the structure counted the next year, that payment's going to go up. So we advise you put a little bit more money away to cover that fee that you're not going to see the first year, but get ready for it next year. But these little things, again, that a lot of your realtors aren't able to cover, the J Prime Realty Group will cover that for you and explain it. Credit don'ts. Once you're approved, definitely do not do anything with your revolving credit. If you already have it under 30%, keep it under 30%. If anything, pay down your credit cards. Don't run them up. Do not allow any accounts to go in default or collections. If you're making payments, then keep making payments. Do not make any late payments on any accounts. Make sure they're all good to go. Do not purchase anything on credit. You have to use cash if you're going to purchase it. A lot of times people go get their credit checked and find out they're approved for a house, and the next thing you know, they're buying a new car because they're like, oh, I didn't know my credit was so good. It could hurt you and bring your scores down. Even if you still qualify, it might hurt what you could get for a good interest rate. And when that happens, now your monthly payment goes up and you might not want to make that. So you can buy the house and then go purchase these other things afterwards. Purchasing the house will not bring your credit score down to affect these other things. But if you buy those other things, it could affect your credit score to go down low enough to affect you buying a house. So think of it that way. Do not refinance. Do not apply for any more credit cards. Do not increase any credit card lines or any of that. You can do all that stuff after you move in. Once you find out you're approved. Now, if you're not approved, we might have a totally different strategy for you to get you approved. But once you're approved, don't mess anything up. We want to stay right where we are. All right. And then with new builds, again, we talked about the warranty. With inventory homes, we can get quick move-in incentives, additional money to help you, all that stuff. So typically, it's going to be a home that's ready when you are ready to. It's ready within 60 days. So if you're almost someone who's think like a renter, where you know you have 60 days to go find another place when you decide to move out of one, well, those quick inventory homes are like, hey, if I had to rent a home, that's how fast I'd have to be in it. Well, then you have the perfect schedule set up to be able to do that. Some of the cons of inventory, you won't be able to pick and choose the amenities, and a lot of the builders are getting away from that anyway. But you must be able to move in a certain time frame. As I mentioned, you might only have 60 days. If you need more time than that, you might have to have one built. If you have to have it built, then you may not be able to take advantage of all the incentives. And then there's the process you have to go through. Here's the pre-owned. You meet with an agent, search the homes, make an offer, etc. In the end, you're going to sign off, but you got to do your third-party inspection, order appraisal, final walkthrough, get your insurance, and all those things. For the new build process, basically the same thing, except a lot of stuff doesn't happen until the 30-day mark out from closing, because since this is a brand new home, they could still be working on certain things, and you have to go and get all the paperwork type stuff out of the way early, work with your lender early, and then 30 days out is when we're going to do the third-party inspection. If you want to have one, you got to turn in that report. We're going to do a walkthrough with you. We're going to make sure that the home, any cosmetic and craftsmanship defects are taken care of. So anything we notice, we do what we call a blue tape walkthrough, and we go and check that out. The appraisal is going to get ordered by the lender. We want to make sure it meets the appraisal requirements. If it doesn't, we're going to talk to the builder and ask them to lower the price. And then there's other things we're going to take a look at. Then we got to do the clear to close. That's the final loan approval. So once you sign up on the house, the second walkthrough, the final walkthrough, we go and we confirm that all the repairs and deficiencies and cosmetic issues are taken care of. And once we have that clear to close, now we're clear to go to closing. That's the transfer of funds and ownership, and you get your keys at that point. And that's pretty much how this works. And now I can go into the offer. We can talk about the offer, continued, all the different steps. This is something you want to read through and ask those questions. But how do we make offers if it's pre-owned versus a new construction? A little bit different process. Read through that. We'll talk about those phases. Everything from making the offer, signing the contract, option period, buyer submits a check, select the inspection company, renegotiate, have lender order appraisal. Those are the steps you're going to see. These are each one of those things in more detail. And then you close, and again, you pick up your keys. Now, as your agent for life, we're not just trying to help you with buying a house. We're here for everything you need. We also help with commercial, but we don't care if you need housekeepers, janitorial services, baked goods, or skincare. Whatever you need, reach out to us first. Call J Prime first, because no matter what it is you need, we're going to help you with it, because we not only want to help you, we want to become, almost 100% referral based. Because if you like the service that you receive from us, of course, you're going to recommend us to other people. And that's what we want to be able to do. So if we can offer you any of these services, whether you're working with us before, during, or after the purchase of your home, we're still going to be there. And we're going to be able to help you. And once we get you in contact with these folks, we can vouch for their services. But if you choose to work with them long term, you set up a different arrangement with them, and now they're with you. In some cases, we may, part of our deal was to send a housekeeper to your place after 30 days. We can do that, right? If that's, instead of sending you a rebate, we might offer to do lawn maintenance and housekeeping for you after the first 30 days. So you move in, you get a little bit of a break. But that's pretty much how we like to operate. That's how we do business. And if you're still looking to see more information on the process, again, you'll have a copy of these slides. You can ask the questions and go from there. All right, so as you can see, we went through narrowing down the requirements. We will, when we get a chance to talk with you, you got to see the San Antonio map. You understand the property comparison chart, how we can make sure that you're getting the best deal, getting the best bang for your buck, saving you money up front and over time. There will be a link for you to schedule a tour or schedule a time to meet with us if you have additional questions. But we're going to schedule a tour with you once you make your mind up that it's that time. And then, of course, you've seen the buyer guide. That's a great resource for you. It should be in your inbox. Make sure you look at that, reference it anytime you have questions. And if you generate more questions from reading that, by all means, reach out to us and we're glad to help. Again, I'm Julia Jackson with J Prime Realty Group of LPT Realty. And my team and I look forward to helping you find your perfect 10 home here in San Antonio, Texas.